What's up, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads with another video for you. And as I've been saying pretty much since I started this channel, after getting my initial results on this way of eating a few years ago, I've been able to run a lot of experiments on myself. I do these things and I report them back to you. I basically consider myself a human lab rat when it comes to the carnivore diet. So I'm here to explain what I've done for the last several months, what I found out, and what my plan is going forward. So for you dads out there, think back to your high school days or your early 20s where we all had this like body type that we all envisioned, right? So I was a skinny kid growing up. I really didn't like fill out until my 20s, and I always envisioned being this big jacked guy. I idolized like action stars as a kid, like Arnold and Stallone, and I always imagined myself, growing up and someday maybe looking like that. And I didn't know back then, about all the, extra stuff that you have to do to get a physique like that. For some people, but a kid could dream, right? So I remember when I really got into lifting, like, most of us do when we're in that early high school or late mid high school age, we start learning to go through these cycles of like bulking and cutting, right? You read all the muscle magazines, Muscle and Fitness and all that, and Flex magazine and stuff, and they all talked about, you do a bulk and you put a bunch of size on, and then you do a cut and you lean out. And so we would eat like crazy back then. We'd put on a bunch of weight and then, eat less and do this like insane amount of cardio to burn off all the fat that we had put on. And we all thought we were putting on all this like incredible muscle mass, and that we were going to be jacked and huge. But for those of us that didn't really know shit about nutrition, most of us just gained a bunch of fat, right? And I mean, I knew like growing up, when I started lifting, that protein meant muscle, right? So I drank the shakes and I ate, what I thought was enough meat. It totally wasn't. But in my mind, I thought I was going to be, jacked after my bulk and cut cycle. And I'd easily put on like 30 pounds, being a bigger framed dude. And it was just like a nightmare to get this fat back off. And it honestly is the reason I think that my weight, eventually did become hard to control once I got into my late 20s and then through my 30s. So when I found the carnivore diet in my late 30s, obviously, as I've told you guys, the weight came off really quickly. I initially dropped from, I was about 285. I'd bounce around that weight, maybe up, maybe down, maybe more like 287. And then I got down to around like 215 at the very lowest I was at. So for reference, I'm about like 6'2 and a half, almost 6'3, depends on, who's measuring me. But, that's just for a reference point of how tall I am versus my weight. So lifting weights is something I've always enjoyed doing. I've gone through years of laziness through my life where I kind of quit doing it. And a little after I started this way of eating, we weren't able to go to gyms anymore for, a certain reason. So I basically just enjoyed the results of like losing fat, not losing any muscle, because I was getting enough protein in, and doing whatever workouts I could at home here and there. But it wasn't anything like I'd been lifting before. So I listened to a lot of different carnivore influencers at the time, and you get a lot of different, information the more people you listen to. And I've heard people say it's tough to gain muscle on this diet, which I think is insane, or, at least hard to gain actual weight. And that I found a little more plausible. I was a little concerned that I may not be able to gain much size eating this way. And early on, I would still hear other influencers that promoted other diets saying you need carbs to fill out your muscles and, gain size. And what you really need for size, obviously, is calories, because yes, they do matter. They do mean something. The problem was, I found, because of like the nutrition of this diet, I could eat a ton of food on this way of eating and I could still not gain weight. I would try tracking now and then, and I'd find that I could easily eat like 5,000 calories and I would still at least keep my weight and not gain, but I got to the point where like my weight would just hang out around 225 when I wasn't really paying attention. Like that's kind of my body's favorite weight. You know, I'd go up and down 3 to 5 pounds depending on the different day, because typically our weight isn't static, you know, based on different factors and stuff. But I really do think that your body has a weight that it likes being at. So this past year, around the summertime, early summer, I wanted to see if I could put on some size and gain some strength. And like I said, I was sitting around 225. Sometimes I'd get up to like 230. But, you know, it just kind of would bounce around, and I felt great there, really. You know, I've been lifting, I've been seeing all these awesome results, and it really just wasn't turning into like the mass that I was kind of wanting. You know, maybe it's a I'm getting older thing and I want to keep up with the young guys, but you know, I wanted to put some size on. And so I decided I was going to take a huge risk based on my background with my, you know, issues, putting on too much fat and getting really big and stuff. But I was going to try and gain some weight and put some mass on. And so I decided, old school style, I would do a bulk, you know, lifter style, bodybuilder magazine style. So when I did it, I had to set some ground rules. So this had to be a carnivore bulk because this is the, you know, way I'm going to eat for the rest of my life. I didn't want to listen to other people. I'm not going to introduce a bunch of carbs and shit and put on the wrong kind of weight, which I know is what would have happened. That's how I could go from like 235 or 225 to 285 in the span of just like a couple months back in the day. So it goes without saying, this was going to be a carnivore animal-based bulk. I also wanted to make sure the weight I was putting on wasn't just a bunch of fat, right? I can accept that anytime you bulk, that no matter what your diet consists of, you will put on body fat in a bulk. That just comes with adding calories. So I just had to be careful because I do put on fat really easily, being, I guess it's like being an endomorphic guy. And being an endomorphic guy, I do put it on easily, whether muscle or fat. That's just my body type, the way I'm built. You know, naturally skinnier ectomorphic guys, they may not have the same results that I do if they, you know, try this. And I think I know my body pretty well now. Especially, you know, being on a carnivore diet, you learn a lot about yourself. And I think I can tell when it's significantly higher fat to muscle content, you know, after living in this for, you know, 40 years now. It's just important to be careful. You know, you want to do this for the right reasons. So if I were to get to the point where I just felt like, you know, way more jiggly than I was before, you know, I would likely have to stop and accept that bulking would be unrealistic from, you know, a muscle gain standpoint. It would just have to be little by little over years type stuff. And so I know that you can't just eat and expect to put on this muscle. So you have to lift to damage the tissue and allow it to repair. So I developed a program for myself that consisted of full body workouts. You know, supposed to be 3 to 4 times a week. You know, life happens. I typically am pretty good at getting in at least about 4 a week. But with lifts that worked multiple body parts. So think of all your like Olympic lifts, your bigger movements, that kind of stuff. And I also performed hardly any cardio during this last like almost a year going on. And I guess it was like a 9-month type deal. I love to swim, but I completely stopped swimming. I did go on walks with my wife and daughter a few times a week, and we like doing that in the summertime. But once it got cold outside, you know, that stopped. So since like October, really no walks either. It's just been straight up lifting and eating. So what did I do from a calorie standpoint? So since a carnivore diet is going to be naturally high in protein, I didn't worry about that all too much. I figured I would just take what I do now, you know, where I don't really watch how much I eat, and I just added more fat onto it because I'm getting a lot of protein as it is. So fat is higher in calories anyway. So I started snacking basically. I hadn't been snacking For a long time, Carnivore had made me basically quit snacking. You just don't need to because you're so satiated. So every couple hours, I just added a fatty snack. So what are some examples of the snacks I ate? So one that I added was cheese sticks, like string cheese. So I added like mozzarella string cheese, Colby Jack cheese sticks, sharp cheddar cheese sticks, and I'd eat like 4 at a time. And that was a nice way to just get a few hundred extra calories in. Having some heavy cream, that's another great way to get in some quick calories on this way of eating. You know, it's full fat, no carbs. It's just a great source of carnivore calories. You know, make sure you're getting just pure heavy cream, right? Nothing with added seed oils and crap. I do not drink milk because I have a tough time finding raw milk. I would probably try to implement some raw milk if I had access to it easily, but I just don't want the lactose from the milk anyway. And there's a lot of different good snacks that you can do that way. You can use, like with the heavy cream, you can use it with cream cheese and make like a carnivore cheesecake and all kinds of stuff like that. Or if you're making some kind of cheesy dish, like an Italian dish or something, you can just throw a little heavy cream in it and it'll give you a little healthy, fatty, you know, calorie boost. Another snack that I did implement was pork rinds. I always use pork rinds for cooking. I use them as a breading and stuff for like fried chicken. If you've seen me on like Twitter and stuff, you've probably seen some of my pictures that I post, but I never really take advantage of them as a snack. So here and there, I'd grab a bag of them and I'd eat them like kind of like chips, right? And they made it a great way to add some calories in, and they have a pretty good fat to protein nutrient profile. And of course, you know, no carbs. You just have to be careful, as I always preach, you know, make sure that you're looking at the nutrient label on the back and the ingredients and stuff, and they're not adding in a bunch of bullshit. Like, especially as you get to the flavored ones like buffalo or like barbecue flavored ones, you want to make sure, you know, they're not sneaking a bunch of crap in there that you don't want to eat. And most brands will fry them in their own fat, but you just have to make sure that you don't get any. It should say on there that they're fried in like soybean or sunflower oil or some other seed oil crap like that. So when you're on a bulk, it goes without saying that it should be for a specific reason, right? Like, most of us go on this diet in the first place because we were fat, we were out of shape, we were unhealthy, you know, and we just wanted to lose weight. So make sure you're asking yourself why you want to gain weight back, especially if you were like me and you were fat as hell and you lost a shitload of weight in the first place. If you don't have a goal, there's really no reason, once you've got down to this really ideal weight, for you to actually gain weight back, right? So the reason that we typically want to go on a bulk is for what? Gaining muscle, right? So before you go on this bulk, you need to have a plan. You have to have a plan as to what your goal is. You know, how far do you want to take it, you know, and define how far you want to go. You need to say, okay, at some point, if I notice that I'm just getting fatter, I don't see any strength or muscle gain, or, you know, I don't know if this is actually doing anything that I was intending. What the hell am I doing this for in the first place? You know, you'll need to re-examine at that point and see what you're doing wrong, so you don't undo all this hard work and all this progress that you had done leading up to this point for nothing. And I also shouldn't have to say it, but if you're going on the bulk with the intent of gaining muscle and strength, you need to be lifting your ass off, right? So, I mean, as you definitely won't get any good results on a bulk if you aren't. You know, make sure you find a good program that's designed for muscle and strength building, so you're adding on, you know, good quality weight when you're bringing all these extra calories into your diet. You know, you can eat a bunch on a carnivore diet and you can gain body fat, trust me, but you can also take on the advantage of putting on really good quality muscle, you know, far better than anything I've ever experienced on any other diet, and I've tried damn near all of them. And the last thing I want you guys to take away that you need to think about is just being patient. You know, muscle doesn't appear and you start looking like this competition level Mr. Olympia mass monster overnight. You know, you got to remember, we're all dads here. That's pretty much my target audience. And as we get older, it gets a lot harder for us to put on muscle and get our athleticism back. You know, body type also plays a big part in that, and some of us put on fat and muscle faster, as I said before. Some of us lose it and keep it off easier. So you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be realistic when you're thinking about what you're going to be able to achieve. You know, it's not always fair the way we're born and the body type we're given, but it's what you got, and you might as well use the tools that I'm showing you here that I have found, that I've tried on myself, to use what you have to your advantage. And look, I do feel that the carnivore diet is a cheat code, believe me, but you still need to put in the work, and you still need to have patience. You also need to remember you will gain some fat. I can't stress that enough, along with the muscle, and that's just how it works. It's common sense. But you can then burn that fat off in a cut and see the reward of your hard work, which is where I'm going moving forward. I've said on here I got a, you know, like a beach type trip coming up soon this year, so I wanted to put on some muscle, and now I'm trying to, you know, go into a cut, which when that's done, or, you know, once I get down to where I'm happy with it, I will probably do a follow-up video to this one where I talk about the results of my cut. And basically the way my cut's going, I basically, everything I said about snacking, I cut all that shit out. And I'm back on my normal diet, and it's already in. I've implemented a little bit of fasting and brought my cardio back into it, and I'm already seeing some really great results. So that's where I'm going with this moving forward. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you found this information helpful. I'm really trying to put out information that you guys can actually use to put into practice, you know, actionable information, if you will. And if you want any more information, or you want to get a hold of me, you can check out my website. I just got it going, I think it's about a few days to a week ago. So it's just lion-dads.com. I left a link in the description as well. I'm also going to be launching a Lion Dads Discord soon. So if you want to join, you know, our online community, I'll put a link in the, you know, in my about on the page, and then future videos in the description when that's live. It's pretty much built. I just have to do some tweaking and stuff to make me happy with it. And then you just click it, join us. Whole lot of awesome stuff is going to be in there, you know, far more than just carnivore diet stuff, workout stuff. I'm going to have some like business entrepreneurship, you know, a lot of just cool place for us to get in there and network with each other, marriage advice, you know, interact with other dads. And I'm super fired up about connecting with all of you in there. So when that's all ready, you know, check out the website now, check out all of that. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop me a comment, and I will get back to you and catch you guys on the next one. Later.